There we go. I see you now, Justin. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good deal. Well, we're going to go ahead and get started. Just a big, exciting day for our sport with the announcement today of the Trackhouse Racing Team, the number 99 Chevrolet coming into the NASCAR Cup Series. Daniel Suárez being the driver. First we're going to start off both with Justin and Danny. Just talk about the momentous occasion and what led to this point, the formation of this NASCAR Cup Series team. We'll start with you, Justin.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks everybody for joining. This is a great day for our team. This all started because a number of years ago, as I started contemplating my future outside of the race car and started thinking about where there's business opportunities, team ownership was something that was attractive to me just because I'm competitive by nature and I want to compete. And my dream has always been to, win a NASCAR race, to win the Daytona 500, be a NASCAR champion. And just because I'm not driving anymore doesn't mean that dream has diminished at all. So we sort of started pivoting a little bit to where there would be opportunities, and the barriers of entry to this NASCAR sport over the past decade and a half have just been unsurmountable for somebody like me. That just, can't really come in and spend $50 million and scale up all this tech. And so when NASCAR announced that they were going to this new car, all of a sudden it was a huge light went off in my head and saw that there was a tremendous opportunity. So in kind of going through the due diligence of figuring out how to put a team like this together, during that process, the car got delayed a year. But we built a structure in how to come into this sport while being very intelligent with our allocation of capital, very intelligent with our growth plans, that even though the new car was delayed, there's still an opportunity to go racing in 21 in a way that we could be competitive and start laying the groundwork for that new car. So a lot of work has gone into it. Every day that there's a development in this sport on the business side, whether it's technological information about the new car or announcing this new schedule or other new teams coming in like Denny and Michael Jordan doing theirs, I get more and more bullish about the future of this sport. And I'm really, really excited to be here and really excited for the future.
Fantastic. Danny, your thoughts on the formation of this new team and your new ride for next year?
Yeah, well, as Justin mentioned, today it's been a very good day. A lot of positive things happening. I can tell you that Justin and I we've been friends for a while, but for sure in the last few months we've been way more close. And when Justin and I first met, he shared his vision and his idea on how he wanted to do this. I just felt like he just clicked right away. And the reason of that is because, what he wanted to do, not just in the racetrack, but also outside the racetrack. The whole vision that he has had about making this a good, young team for the new generations, that's something that for me is such a good opportunity. So, and on top of that, already competition is the priority for me, and everything that Justin and Trackhouse were able to put together to be able to compete, I think it's just an opportunity that I just couldn't let go, to have a team that is going to be able to do what I think is extremely good and smart outside the racetrack, and have the competition side inside the racetrack.
Fantastic. We have a lot of media members on, both English-speaking and Spanish-speaking media members. We'll go ahead and take questions. If you have a question for either Justin or Danny, go ahead and raise your hand in the participants queue. Responderemos preguntas en español más tarde, and we will get to you as well. So we'll start with Claire B. Lang. Go ahead with your question, Claire.
Okay, this is for Daniel. Congratulations. And what made you, because you've tried to form a team before, but Justin Marks is an idea man. He's going places, and I think anybody who knows him knows that, right? What are your visions for this? Why can this work?
Well, maybe for people that don't really know me, and maybe for people that is seeing all this just from the very, very back, maybe they're thinking, okay, what the heck Daniel is doing, starting again with another brand new team. But it's it's a very good opportunity. I have learned a lot in the last few years. I know what it takes to be successful, not just in the racetrack, but as well outside the racetrack. And one of the advantages that Justin has is that he's still a race car driver, and now he's a team owner. So he understands both sides of the coin extremely well, the business side and the competition side. So I feel like that is very hard to beat. And obviously, putting together a good business model for sponsors and to be able to attract people to the racetrack and to the team, to Trackhouse. It just felt right. And the vision of Justin, it was extremely close to the vision I have had for a while. So like I said, since we first met to talk about this project, it just felt good. Just sometimes you just have to trust your gut feeling, and then you just start moving from there. So it just felt good, and I felt that yeah, we are a new team with Trackhouse, but it has a lot of different qualities of experienced people that is going to make us successful, not just in the competition side with a good partnership with RCR, but as well, outside the racetrack, already with Justin, with Ty Norris, which I have a lot of respect, and I feel that he has a lot of experience in the NASCAR industry or racing industry in general, that will make this team a success.
And did you talk to other teams, or once you got this vision, this is where you were focused?
No, I definitely talked to several teams. I talked to several teams. I have had I had very good offers from other teams and good opportunities from other teams. But I'm the kind of person that I just trust my gut feeling a lot. And I'm extremely fortunate that I have good people behind me, that they help me to make decisions, and they help me to put all the options on the table. And since the very beginning, Justin was something that for me and for the people that advised me, we thought it was something good, and not just for now, but as well for the future. I think it's very important to see that, right? If you look to my career in the last few years, I haven't had consistency, and I feel like consistency in racing is something super important. If you can have consistency, you cannot be successful. And it was very important for me to know that I was gonna have everything I need to be competitive and successful, but not just next year, but as well for what is after that. And I felt like Justin was definitely the person and the team that was able to put the whole package along with everything that the idea that we have had to be able to make it happen.
Congratulations, Daniel.
Thank you very much.
Our next question will come from Jenna Fryer. Go ahead with your question, Jenna.
Hey, sorry, I wasn't ready. Justin, my questions are for you. First, some housekeeping. You said you're embedded with RCR. Does that mean that the team will operate out of RCR?
Yeah, we'll be up there on their property. Yep.
Okay. Will you be independent of them, but working in their shop?
We'll be independent. We've got the nature of our alliance is essentially finding, economies of scale and all of the infrastructure. They've got fabrication, things like setup, things like Hawkeye, things like kind of the expensive sort of capital infrastructure and capital assets that these teams utilize. Up at RCR, as you know, is now a 2-car operation, but that's all been built out to be bigger than that. So they've got all these resources up there that are being underutilized, and we're coming in and basically just sharing some costs on that, being plugged in obviously to all their technology and their intellectual property and their processes. But it's our team, it's our people, it's our effort.
And then the charter situation. I know you have been trying all summer to get your hands on one. How difficult was it ultimately? And if you could speak to, when Spire got its first charter, they were the only bidders. They were the only people in the game for it. And now it seems there's 7, 8, 9 people trying to get charters. So if you could talk about that and also your own experiences in going through this and trying to get one.
That's a deep rabbit hole. And it's probably, I mean, you'd probably write a book on that, because it has to do with a larger picture of the business of the entire sport right now with this television contract and how people are finding ways to go to the racetrack. It was much more difficult for us than I anticipated it being, much more difficult for that very reason, that there are a lot of charter buyers out there. I will say, unfortunately, there is not a lot of charter buyers out there that are trying to build championship caliber race teams over the next few years. So that made things difficult. So, I mean, we aggressively pursued 3 charters. We lost 2 to other bidders. We had an owner change his mind in the 11th hour and decided not to sell us one, which really, really put us in a very, very vulnerable spot. And it was very, very disappointing. And then, like I said, in the 11th hour, I knew a little bit about what Spire was trying to build over there. I know that they've got a long-term vision for growth over there. And I just called him and said, look, I've got a driver, I've got partners, I've got an operational partnership, and I was just kicked to the curb by an owner, and I need some real help. And Spire extended an olive branch, and I worked with Jeff and TJ to find a way to lease their charter for 2021. It gets us on the racetrack. It was great that they were able to do that. We're going right back to the charter buying market when the race season starts next year.
Thanks, Justin. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Our next question is going to come from Bob Pockris. Go ahead with your question, Bob.
Yeah, Justin, you talk about partners. I mean, do you have like full sponsorship that you're ready, that's set, and is any of that coming from Daniel?
We have a number of partners that are part of this program. What we want to do is we want to roll that out at a time where it's really impactful for all of them. Right now, today is about announcing the team. It's about announcing our driver and our alliances. Daniel has some great supporters. I've got some great supporters. We've got conversations going right now with companies that are excited about what we're doing. It's just really at this point a matter of figuring out, who's going to be involved with what inventory, who we're going to be taking to the Daytona 500 on the race car. And so, I mean, I don't really want to talk too deeply about that right now, because a lot of those conversations are ongoing. I have a significant competition budget for 2021 that puts us in contention to be a playoff team. That is a fact. If we get 80% of the way there on our sponsorship, the other 20% is there, and it's going to be utilized to put us in the most competitive position possible, because we know and believe that in 22 with the new car, the economics of the sport are going to come our way. I know it's kind of a long-winded answer for you, Bob, but we've got, I would expect no less than 5 significant partners on this team next year.
And for Daniel, it's been an emotional ride the last 4 years. I mean, are you used to this type of change, or is any of it still somewhat unsettling?
Well, first of all, let me say, Bob, that it's way nicer to start working in your stuff in September or even before that than in November. So it feels way nicer to do that. But I don't think changing teams every year is something that anyone really wants to do. As I mentioned before, consistency in racing is key. And if you cannot have consistency with your engineers, crew chief, spotter, the whole group, if you cannot have that, it's very impossible to be successful. If you look to all the drivers that are successful today, to Denny Hamlin, to Harvick, to Kyle Busch, to the whole Penske organization, all these people, they have had this group of people working together for a very long time. And unfortunately, I haven't had that since I went to Cup, really. So, I'm really excited about this opportunity with Trackhouse to be able to build something and be able to do it well since the beginning. And trying to recruit good people to be able to be successful, not just in the racetrack, but as well outside the racetrack.
Thank you.
Question will come from Woody Kane. Go ahead with the question, Woody.
Hi guys, thanks for your time. For Justin, I've seen a couple of things where you have mentioned that the next gen car, which is now 2022, was an opening for you to do what you had been talking about and describing. Can you put into words what types of things that does for you economically to allow you to pursue this? And for Daniel, to kind of play off what you were saying to Bob, just how How frustrating has this past year and a half or so been for you?
I'll start first, Daniel. So you're asking about the economics of the next gen car and how that provides. So, you know, it's compelling when you look at the value proposition for companies to come in and advertise and promote their products in the sport, when the cost to compete is in line with the exposure potential based on television ratings, on, you know, fan following, all of that. So one of the exercises we went through was, what price point does it make sense for a company based on all those metrics to invest in NASCAR, where NASCAR, if it goes up against the NFL or the NBA or even Instagram influencers, that a NASCAR investment works? And that number is, it's kind of a moving target. Different sales departments at different teams have different ideas of what that number is. But by and large, that number is landing very, very close to what we think a very competitive competition budget will be around this new car. Asset acquisition aside, operating. So that's where it becomes really compelling for us as a new team, because the model as it exists just doesn't really work. And I know saying that going into 21 sounds a little odd, but the fact of the matter is that we have been very intelligent about how we've structured the operation of this team in 21 to be ready for 22 and still be competitive. But all you want is you want the cost to compete in line with the value proposition of sponsors, because, you know, we're not going to just self-fund this thing in perpetuity. So I would say, you know, a substantial portion of time that we've spent doing our due diligence and building this model is hammering NASCAR over and over and over. Are you going to be officiating this? Are you going to be watching this? How is the distribution model on the parts and the pieces of this car going to be managed? And every time we had that discussion, we walked out of those meetings going, this is going to work. We believe that this is going to work. And so is there risk involved? Sure, there's risk involved. Am I bullish on NASCAR's future? I am. I wouldn't be here if I wasn't. But I mean, it's that car that I think you're starting to see things like the Denny and Jordan deal, and you're starting to see things like Trackhouse. It's that car that I think for the first time in 30 years in this sport truly represents an opportunity for the future.
You keep forgetting sponsorship.
Daniel?
And for Daniel, about the frustration over the past year and a half or so.
Yeah, the last year and a half has been difficult. I mean, and honestly, not just the last year and a half, the last few years. The last few years they've been frustrated because of things out of my control, and you know, sometimes it's a little frustrating to have a lot of things out of your control. But this is sometimes, you know, this is part of life. It's part of the sport, and you know, a lot of things have changed. You know, I thought that we had a very good project going on for this year, and I was very late. We thought it was gonna start going in the right direction, and the pandemic hit, and everything changed. Everything. The new car changed. The cars that were gonna get changed. Everything changed. So it's been difficult. It's been difficult, but I do believe that everything is an experience, and I'm still here, and I feel that I'm much stronger than 3 years ago, 2 years ago, and even last year. So I feel that I know what I need to be successful, not just in the racetrack, but also out of the racetrack. And I have had all these conversations one by one with Justin. We do agree on everything, how everything needs to be able to compete and to be able to be efficient, you know, with in the business model also outside of the racetrack. So there were a lot of things that we share the vision of, and that's why I, you know, even though that, yeah, I'm disappointed of the last few years. But that's in the past. There's nothing I can do other than learn from that and move forward and put all those experiences, you know, in the table to be able to execute things in a better way.
Thank you both.
Thank you.
Our next question is going to come from Jacob Seelman. Go ahead with the question, Jacob.
Thanks, Matt. Congratulations to both of you. First off, I've got one for each of you. I'll start with Daniel and kind of feed off of Woody's question. What does it do for you as a driver? For relief, confidence. What does it do to have, as you mentioned earlier, your plan set in, October instead of having to wait till late December, early January to get a deal in place?
Yeah, that really makes a huge difference. As I mentioned, the last two teams that I have had, unfortunately, situations have played out in a different way, and some of those things out of my control, some of those things out of a lot of people's control. But the end result is that I've been out of a ride in November instead of September twice. So it's been very difficult to find good opportunities when you are starting to look in November, when everything's supposed to be fine and then all of a sudden it's not. So it's a difficult situation, but again, all you can do is to learn from that. I felt that I have learned a lot from the sport. I have learned a lot from people. And I felt that that's what I take from all this, and I'm trying to apply all this for the future, and trying to apply all this for what is next, and making myself successful. I know I can drive race cars, and I know I can win races. I didn't come from a different country with all these different challenges, starting pretty much a life over, just to come here to do laps. That's not me. If that was me, I would be already back in Mexico. But that's not my goal. My goal is to win races, to win championships, to keep making history, and to open the path for more drivers from different countries. And I still have a lot of work to do, but I will still have a lot of time to do it.
And Justin, for you, you're kind of in a unique position to come at this, being a driver who's been involved in NASCAR behind the wheel pretty recently. I think you and Tony probably the two most recent that have been behind the wheel and ended up going into team ownership. What kind of things from your driving days do you feel like you can bring to your new role as a team owner to help strengthen the team and be able to make it that much stronger, as you mentioned, for the long term?
Yeah, I appreciate that question, because I think it's something definitely that's unique to Trackhouse. I mean, I have spent my whole life trying to be a student of business, and I'm come from a very tremendous upbringing that allowed me to have a front row seat for how great businesses are built, and the mistakes along the way, and how to treat people, and how to manage risk. And I think that I think that experience is going to set Trackhouse up to be successful, be intelligent about how it allocates capital, be intelligent about how it makes decisions with personnel. But the thing that's unique is the fact that, just like you mentioned, I mean, it's I still have racing suits hanging up in my closet that just came out of the race car, and being able to lean on 20 years of experience as a driver, driving for multiple organizations. I mean, I was a factory driver for BMW, one of 8 paid BMW factory drivers in the world. From that experience to spending a large part of my career as a self-funded driver, trying to negotiate with sponsorships and negotiate with teams and funding my own effort, kind of those opposite ends of the spectrum and sort of everything in between. I've been able to work with a lot of different owners that had a lot of different expectations of me. So I have a wide range of experience, and I can lean on that experience to go back and see the times that I felt like I was a valued part of the organization, and times when I was not a valued part of the organization. And that is a huge part in success on the racetrack. When you go to the racetrack, you got to feel like the people around you believe in you. You have to feel like you've got a voice in the organization. You have to feel like the top of the organization is working in your best interest and trying to make you successful, and understand that if you're successful on the racetrack, they're successful as a business. So coming fresh out of that experience, I think that I can have a great working relationship with Daniel. I think that he can fight for what he needs with me candidly, and I can be candid with him about how this business runs. But the good thing is that we are we are both united in one goal. And we said it on a call just a few days ago, you know, winning cures everything. And our goal is to win races. I believe that Daniel can do it behind the wheel of a race car. And I think he believes that I can put the equipment and the people around him to empower him to do that. So I mean, I think it is a unique situation. And I like the fact that it's just me and him just getting started, that Trackhouse is that he's the only driver, and that I'll wake up every morning of every day trying to figure out what I need to give him the confidence going into a race weekend and the equipment to close the deal on the last lap.
Really appreciate the time from both of you. Thanks, guys.
We are going to go to a follow-up from Jenna Fryer. Go ahead with your question, Jenna.
Hey, Justin, I was interested in the commitment you want to make to America's minority communities. Can you expand on that and what you have planned?
Thank you. You know, in sort of taking a deep look at what corporate America looks like right now, it's apparent that corporations and companies are increasingly becoming committed to being stewards of the community. And I think a race team is no different. I mean, we love racing. We like to have fun. We like to go to the racetrack. We got to create value for our partners. But I mean, we also, when I say we, I say Trackhouse, it's important to Trackhouse's DNA to feel like we're doing something for the greater good and we're giving back as well. Because it's like not real life that we get to do what we do. So it's important to leave a mark. So with that being said, you know, I have forever thought that NASCAR and motorsports in general can be a great platform to promote the STEM disciplines. And, you know, if you look at the STEM statistics, they're the highest paying jobs in America. They're some of the most quickly created jobs in America. And we have a huge population of underrepresented minority youth in America right now that feel like they don't have the same opportunities as everybody else. So where Trackhouse's opportunity is using our team and using the sport of NASCAR to create an educational experience for these young people, to give them some hope and to educate them on what their opportunities are for life, you know, beyond high school. So with that being said, you know, my family foundation has allocated a significant amount of capital to start building out a STEM-based program that utilizes all the assets in NASCAR. We're going to work with our partners on the assets that they have that they would contribute, about maybe certain geographical areas that are important to them to work in, because as you know, we can go into any community in America with something like this and make a difference. And so what we want to do is we want to build this program out and scale it over time. So eventually we have a mobile experiential STEM education unit that goes on the road from Daytona every week, every market, until the last race of the year, and through the winter too. And so that's the end goal. I think in 2021, you'll see this Trackhouse STEM initiative working significantly in a couple of markets. My goal is to run a few thousand kids through this program next year. And I think that we have the support of our partners, not just on the race car, but you know, with other teams, with the sport OEMs, racetracks. And then we've got the capital to be able to build that out to do that. So I'm really excited about that, because I think it's going to differentiate ourselves, and it's going to, you know, for everybody involved in Trackhouse, it's going to also be an opportunity to identify promising candidates for their team. So, you know, I think there's a lot of good things to come out of it, and it's something that we're really excited about diving into.
Your driver is the only foreign-born NASCAR national champion. Does that help with this program?
Yeah, it does, for sure. I mean, Daniel's story is not unlike a lot of stories of people that have overcome odds because they had a dream and worked hard for that dream. I mean, Daniel moved to America without, you know, really a ride or really any way of figuring out how to get to the top. And he worked and he overcame. I mean, you guys know it's difficult for somebody to come into NASCAR, period. It's difficult for someone to come. I mean, it's a fraternity, and that fraternity has got deep, deep roots. And so for someone to come in that's from such a far different scope of life, and to overcome those odds and to reach the very pinnacle of the sport, that just demonstrates that anything is possible. And his story is gonna display prominently in our messaging of our STEM program.
Thanks.
And now we have several members the media corps on here who speak Spanish, and to help me with that, conoce a mi amiga Marielkis Salazar. Ayuda con mi español, Marielkis.
Claro que sí, Matt, muchas gracias. Como Matt ya mencionó, mi nombre es Marielkis Salazar, represento al Departamento de Comunicaciones de NASCAR. De esta forma, damos inicio entonces a la rueda de preguntas en español. Pero antes de pasar a las preguntas de nuestro primer periodista, Rodrigo, Daniel, cuéntanos un poco cómo te sientes y qué significa para ti este anuncio que hicimos el día de hoy.
Bueno, primero que nada, un gusto saludarte, Marielkis. Estoy muy contento de estar en esta posición y poder finalmente hacer el anuncio con Trackhouse y todo lo que estamos planeando hacer para el próximo año, no solamente dentro de la pista, pero también fuera de ella. Creo que el futuro luce muy bien y estoy contento por eso. Obviamente tenemos mucho trabajo que hacer, pero creo que estamos en la dirección correcta para poder hacerlo.
Perfecto, pasamos entonces a la primera pregunta de Rodrigo Tovar, representando a Fox Sports México. Buenas tardes, Rodrigo. ¿Cuál es tu pregunta?
Buenas tardes, muchas gracias. Mi pregunta es para Daniel. Daniel, ya comentabas un poco ahorita en inglés, pero ¿cuál crees que sea el impacto para los pilotos mexicanos que están detrás de ti con este nuevo nombramiento, con este nuevo logro que tienes en tu carrera? Y la segunda, desde el punto de vista de las minorías, digamos, ahora que este tema está tan de boga en el mundo del deporte, ¿qué representa que un piloto mexicano sea la cabeza de un equipo de NASCAR? Muchas gracias.
Pues bueno, primero que nada, saludarte, Rodrigo. Como ya lo mencionaba Justin, es difícil llegar a la categoría de NASCAR y ser exitoso y tratar de hacer todo lo posible por hacer historia, ganar carreras, ser constante y tratar de seguir creciendo. Obviamente cuando yo llegué aquí a los Estados Unidos en el 2011, yo no tenía a nadie a quien preguntarle un consejo, a quien preguntarle cómo trabajar con los patrocinadores, cómo trabajar con los equipos, ni siquiera hablaba inglés. Entonces, siento que esa línea o ese camino estaba ahí, sin embargo, estaba muy dudoso, no estaba claro exactamente qué es lo que se tenía que hacer. El día de hoy me siento yo muy orgulloso y muy afortunado de ya estar en la máxima categoría de NASCAR por varios años y de haber aprendido muchas cosas y de ahora estar empezando este nuevo proyecto con Trackhouse y tener una asociación muy fuerte con un equipo que el día de hoy ya es competitivo y ya está ganando carreras. Eso me pone una sonrisa de lado a lado. Sin embargo, la meta aún va más allá. Como tú sabes, para mí es muy importante, obviamente, ser exitoso, pero también es muy importante poder cambiar la cultura del deporte en NASCAR y poder cambiar lo que yo tuve que vivir para poder llegar a este punto. Me gustaría que en 5 o 10 años hubiera pilotos de más países, hubiera más pilotos de México, de Brasil, de Colombia, Argentina. Tú dime de dónde. Y sería muy bueno que pudiéramos aprovechar todo el trabajo que yo he estado haciendo conjunto con NASCAR, con mis patrocinadores, para poder hacer esto posible. Y creo, sinceramente, que vamos en la dirección correcta. Desafortunadamente, el área de competencia ha fallado mucho en los últimos años, pero creo que este nuevo proyecto con Trackhouse, con Justin y con RCR, creo que tiene mucho futuro para poder hacer las cosas muy bien y que nos den más fuerza para poder darle credibilidad al futuro de los pilotos latinoamericanos.
Muchas gracias por tu tiempo, Daniel.
Gracias a ti.
Gracias. Vamos entonces con David Sánchez de la Fórmula del Automovilismo. Adelante con tu pregunta.
Muchas gracias, Marielkis. Felicidades, Daniel. Es una grandísima noticia para el automovilismo mexicano que tengas nuevamente un asiento en la categoría más importante de autos stock en los Estados Unidos, NASCAR. Pues cuéntanos, por favor, qué es lo que podemos esperar para el aficionado mexicano, latinoamericano, incluso también, sobre tu participación en este nuevo equipo, el Trackhouse, bueno, incluso siendo también el líder de una aventura muy importante, de una aventura nueva dentro de NASCAR.
Sí, pues bueno, espero que estés muy bien, David. Han sido unos años muy difíciles para poder encontrar el lugar perfecto y el lugar que funcione, no solamente fuera de la pista, pero también dentro de ella. Siento que he sido muy afortunado de tener apoyo de mucha gente, de muy buenos patrocinadores de NASCAR. Sin embargo, eso no es suficiente para poder ser exitoso dentro de la pista. Entonces, definitivamente esta oportunidad con Trackhouse, para mucha gente tal vez es un equipo totalmente nuevo. Y sí, sí lo es, pero tiene gente con mucha experiencia, incluyendo la gente de competencia con RCR, al igual que Justin y Ty Norris en toda la área de Trackhouse, del lado de negocios y del Steam Program y demás que ya mencionaba Justin, para poder hacer esto un equipo diferente, un equipo joven, un equipo que sea algo moderno para las nuevas generaciones de fans. Y creo que eso me llamó mucho la atención. Tú sabes que hay veces que tienes que seguir tus instintos y definitivamente esta vez fue una de ellas. Creo que el futuro se ve muy bien. Hay mucho trabajo por hacer, de eso no hay duda, pero creo que hay mucho potencial para poder empezar el próximo año de una manera muy competitiva desde la primera carrera.
Así es, ese era uno de los temas que más te preocupaban en tu carrera en NASCAR, el que no hubiera continuidad con tus ingenieros. Platícanos, por favor, también, última pregunta, platícanos, por favor, también este proyecto que está teniendo Justin, que vas a encabezar con el equipo, ¿no? Esta ayuda que se está dando para orientar a las nuevas generaciones.
Sí, definitivamente es algo que para mí es muy importante poder ayudar y empujar a las siguientes generaciones. Obviamente yo todavía tengo una larga carrera por delante, pero para mí es importante poder hacer un cambio en la cultura del deporte, ya que cuando yo llegué aquí realmente eso no estaba al 100% de cómo se tenía que hacer para poder llegar a un cierto punto de la máxima categoría de NASCAR. Entonces, estoy muy contento de que Justin y yo tengamos una visión muy parecida de qué es lo que queremos hacer dentro y fuera de la pista y creo que eso nos va a llevar a buenos resultados.
Última pregunta nada más. ¿Este es un contrato multianual o vamos a ir año por año?
Multianual.
Perfecto. Muchas gracias. Muchas felicidades, Daniel.
Gracias, David.
Gracias. Les recuerdo que si tienen alguna pregunta pueden escribir en el chat y así yo los puedo ir llamando. El siguiente periodista es Juan Saldarriaga de Fanáticos USA. Adelante, Juan, con tu pregunta.
Por esa nuevo proyecto que tienes. Ha sido un ejemplo para muchos pilotos, no solo mexicanos, pero a nivel suramericano. Preguntas, hay muchas, pero realmente se han comunicado, se han llegado a comunicar a otros pilotos de otras categorías en México, pidiéndote un consejo o viendo la posibilidad de que puedan venir a correr como tú, abrir esa puerta como la abrió en su tiempo Juan Pablo Montoya para Colombia, y ahora hay muchos pilotos corriendo en diferentes categorías. Ahora, hay pilotos mexicanos o de otros países que te han preguntado.
Definitivamente. De hecho, actualmente estoy en pláticas con varios de ellos que quieren empezar a correr aquí o quieren ir al programa de diversidad de NASCAR o quieren saber cómo funcionan las cosas. Todo ese tipo de cosas que hay veces que si no tienes a una persona al cual hacer todas estas preguntas, llegas y cometes muchos errores. Y definitivamente de esos errores aprenden, pero toma tiempo, dinero, patrocinadores y demás. Entonces, es un proceso. Yo tuve que aprender de la manera más difícil, pero también eso me ayudó a formar la persona que soy el día de hoy. Si no hubiera cometido todos esos errores, no sería el Daniel Suárez que soy el día de hoy. Y bueno, es un proceso.
Claro.
Pero creo que yo en lo personal estoy muy contento de lo que se ha hecho hasta el día de hoy. Sin embargo, no estoy satisfecho. Creo que hay mucho trabajo que se puede seguir haciendo a la mano con Trackhouse y este nuevo proyecto para poder ser competitivos dentro de las pistas, porque como ya lo mencionaba Justin también hace un rato, ser competitivos y ganar carreras. Entonces, si podemos hacer eso, eso creo que nos va a ayudar mucho al proyecto y credibilidad que tenemos fuera de la pista.
La segunda pregunta es con respecto de Justin. ¿Tienen la posibilidad en algún momento que tú le has planteado, se plantearan la posibilidad de que hayan minoritarios o latinos o hispanos que puedan hacer parte de este equipo, de esta nueva meta que se está planeando?
Fíjate que definitivamente sí. No quiero hablar de más, pero va a haber una persona muy importante de este equipo que también es un latino. Yo he trabajado con él en el pasado y muy contento de cómo están haciendo las cosas. Pero por una vez más, obviamente se requiere tener talento, tener el hambre y poder tener las cualidades para poder llegar aquí a ser competitivo. Pero sobre tu punto, para mí es un gran orgullo poder trabajar con mucha gente aquí y en los Estados Unidos, pero obviamente sería un orgullo extra poder trabajar con más latinos en mi equipo de carreras. Entonces eso creo que nos va a ayudar para seguir creciendo.
Well, thank you. Muchas gracias, Daniel y Mr. Justin. Thank you so much for giving Daniel Suárez this opportunity to become your new driver. Thank you.
Gracias.
Excelente, muchas gracias. Pasamos entonces con la última pregunta de Iván Martínez, representando a 3i México. Adelante con tu pregunta.
¿Qué tal, Daniel? ¿Cómo te encuentras? Buenas tardes aquí en México. Solo para saludarte y preguntarte, ¿este 2021 será la consolidación de Daniel Suárez en este nuevo equipo? Hemos visto que has batallado con diferentes equipos, pero en este se te ve más contento, más feliz, con unas ganas realmente de echarle más ganas y con una aportación bastante grande en cuestión latina. ¿Qué nos puedes hablar de esto?
Bueno, primero que nada, un gusto saludarte, Iván. Te voy a ser muy sincero, a mí no quiero hablar mal de nadie ni tampoco decir cosas que tal vez me pueda arrepentir, pero realmente he aprendido muchísimo en los últimos años. Definitivamente ser parte de organizaciones grandes me ha ayudado mucho para crecer y entender cómo funcionan las cosas. Sin embargo, es muy importante que el equipo que sea, grande, pequeño, mediano, tenga enfoque en ti y que tenga el interés de hacerte exitoso. Y si eso no pasa, no importa el equipo que sea, no va a funcionar. Y esa es una de las cosas que he aprendido en este mundo en los últimos años. Como te digo, he aprendido demasiado en los últimos años y si pudiera hacer todo una vez más, lo haría muy diferente. Sin embargo, pues así es como se aprende, ¿no? No tengo yo un papá piloto, ni un mejor amigo piloto, ni un tío piloto que me pueda dar todos estos consejos. Los he tenido que aprender yo solo desde el inicio. Entonces, ha sido todo un proceso. Sin embargo, ahora con Trackhouse, con Justin, la visión que tiene él de cómo hacer las cosas, de cómo quieren hacer esta asociación con Trackhouse Racing para poder ser competitivos desde el principio. No queremos estar en ese proceso de un equipo nuevo como ha pasado este año. Este año ha sido muy doloroso, probablemente uno sinceramente, de los peores años de mi carrera. Y no se suponía ser así. Entonces, lo que queremos es evitar todos esos procesos de un equipo nuevo, teniendo la experiencia de un equipo en el área de competencia, que ellos se van a encargar de toda esa área y nosotros encargarnos de todo el resto fuera de la pista. Entonces, creemos que es un modelo de equipo que va a funcionar mucho en el futuro y esperemos hacerlo exitoso.
Mencionas algo importante, que vas a poder estar también con varios pilotos, ya sea latinoamericanos o mexicanos, que también se te están acercando. ¿Hay algún nombre en especial o alguna mujer que también se interese por estar también participando en estas categorías?
Pues bueno, tú sabes de varios. Tú estás en la Ciudad de México y hay varios buenos pilotos de las trucks en México y de NASCAR México que han estado tratando de venir para acá. Con cada uno de los que están tratando de venir para acá, yo estoy en contacto con ellos y con ella también. Y creo que lo están haciendo bien. Es un proceso, no es fácil. Tú sabes que no es fácil. Yo ya tengo aquí 9 años. Entonces, 9 años que han pasado muy rápido, pero ha sido un proceso. Los primeros 2 años que yo estuve aquí fueron los años probablemente más difíciles de mi vida, pero es un proceso. Entonces, obviamente yo estoy aquí para ayudarles en todo lo que yo pueda, tratar de hacerles la vida un poco más sencilla, de como yo lo tuve, pero obviamente requiere de mucho talento, de mucho trabajo y de mucho apoyo. Como ya lo dijo Justin, sí es difícil para los americanos llegar a la máxima categoría de NASCAR, para un piloto que viene de una cultura diferente, de una vida diferente, es aún más difícil. Entonces, para mí es un gran orgullo poder ayudar un poco, dar un consejo y tratar de guiarlos por la dirección correcta para que no pierdan tiempo, patrocinadores, dinero y demás.
Precisamente hablando de patrocinadores, ¿vas a repetir algunos con los que tienes actualmente o serán totalmente nuevos?
Repetiremos con los que tenemos actualmente. Obviamente Trackhouse tiene algunos otros patrocinadores y seguiremos trabajando para seguir obviamente creciendo este proyecto.
Pues Daniel, te agradecemos este tiempo, te deseamos lo mejor en esta nueva etapa de Daniel Suárez, desde que te vimos celebrando el campeonato de Xfinity, que tienes el trofeo a un lado. No te habíamos visto feliz en algunas entrevistas, en este momento te vemos diferente, te vemos con otra actitud. Te deseamos lo mejor para estas temporadas que vas a realizar y nos vemos pronto, que también esperemos que todo esto de la pandemia nos permita pues ya empezar a poder asistir a las categorías y a las carreras ahí en los Estados Unidos.
Muchas gracias, Iván. Cuídate mucho y espero vernos pronto. Saludos por allá.
Gracias.
Excelente, gracias. Tenemos una pregunta de Denis Ducos. Nos escribió, pero Denis, si tienes el micrófono abierto, te doy el pase para que hagas la pregunta. Excelente. Adelante con tu pregunta.
Ok, saludos Daniel. Gracias Marielkis por la invitación. Daniel, pues ya hemos escuchado, ¿verdad? Eso mismo, el positivismo lo positivo que estás con este nuevo equipo. Felicidades a ti, a Justin, para empezar. ¿Era parte de tus aspiraciones en algún momento, desde que tú iniciaste tu carrera, formar este tipo de empresa? O sea, un equipo donde tú estuvieras al frente de él. Y obviamente el equipo de Trackhouse ve un gran potencial en ti, como lo vemos todos nosotros. ¿Qué entiendes tú que será la mayor aportación tu mayor aportación para este equipo?
Bueno, primero que nada, un saludarte, Denis. Creo que es una combinación, a pesar de que solo tengo 28 años, ya tengo mucha experiencia en NASCAR. Ya sé qué es lo que necesito, ya sé cómo funcionan las cosas, ya sé cómo funciona la gente y sé qué es lo que se necesita para ser exitoso, no solamente dentro de la pista, pero también fuera de ella. Entonces, es realmente un proceso el cual se tiene que ir. Justin Marks también sabe cómo funciona esto, sabe que es un proceso ha tenido todas esas experiencias. Es un piloto que ha estado en este mundo por más de 20 años y ahora está del lado como dueño de equipo, pero también entiende cómo funciona el modelo de negocio de todo el mundo de las carreras. Entonces, creo que podemos hacer muy buena combinación. Si no fuera por Justin, sinceramente yo no estaría aquí. Si no fuera por RCR, sinceramente yo no estaría aquí. Realmente es una combinación de todo, cómo tuvo que pasar para que funcionara, para que pudiera dar credibilidad de lo que va a pasar dentro y fuera de la pista. Justin y todo su equipo va a hacer que este equipo sea un equipo joven, un equipo moderno, que los fans se puedan conectar con Trackhouse y conmigo, y obviamente RCR nos va a ayudar a ser competitivos lo más rápido posible, lo cual eso es lo que estamos buscando. Entonces, como te digo, es una combinación de cosas que creo que si podemos apuntar todas las cosas en la dirección correcta, vamos a poder tener mucho éxito desde una temprana edad.
¿Tienes algún mensaje para todos estos fans latinos que siguen tu carrera?
Pues bueno, yo soy muy, muy orgulloso de haber nacido en México y de haber crecido en México. Y tú sabes, no tienes idea qué tanto me enorgullece decir que yo llegué aquí sin absolutamente nada y sin ni siquiera hablar inglés. Entonces, tal vez hace 9 años eso era un problema muy grande que hubiera deseado cambiar. Pero el día de hoy es algo que estoy muy orgulloso. Y te puedo decir que los sueños, no importa cuál sea, son alcanzables. Simplemente se tiene que trabajar. Nada es gratis en esta vida. Pero me siento muy orgulloso de ser esa cara de NASCAR para todos los latinos y de poder representarlos a todos y cada uno de ellos. Y al igual, los que quieran ser parte de este mundo de NASCAR, porque no solamente tienen que ser pilotos, hablamos de pit crews, ingenieros, crew chiefs, mecánicos, de lo que tú digas, que quieran ser parte de este mundo. Realmente creo que soy uno de los pilotos más abiertos para poder tener una conversación y de poder dar algún consejo.
Excelente, gracias.
Muchas gracias. De esta forma concluye la parte en español, las entrevistas en español. Les recuerdo que todo este material está disponible en nascarmedia.com, tanto el video como pues el comunicado de prensa. Y si no, ustedes tienen mi email, con mucho gusto me contactan y yo les puedo pasar todo. Matt, that's it for us, so I'm going to send it back to you.
Muchas gracias. Eres la mejor. Muchas gracias.
Thank you. Gracias, gracias.
We do have one more question here in English, and that will come from Dean Hensley. Dean, go ahead with your question. Dean, do you have it?
Oh, there we go. Yeah, thank you so much, Matt, and thank you, Daniel, for taking the time to talk with us today. I work in Hendersonville with Steve Bartdahl, your spotter, and I was just wondering if you're going to be able to bring him with you, and if you are, I was just going to ask you about what the relationship's been like with him, working with him all this year, and how that's been.
Yeah, I think, as I mentioned before, consistency is something extremely important in the sport, and it's extremely important to build something. I can tell you that Steve and I, in the beginning of this year, a few months that were rough, like we were not clicking and we were not really understanding each other very well. As I have an accent, so it's not easy. But Steve, he works hard, and I felt like he really adapted extremely well for what I needed and what I was asking for, and I was very happy with the job that he's been doing lately. I feel like there is always room for improvement. That's no question for everyone, for him, for myself, for anyone. But I feel like the way that we were clicking is definitely something very positive. And I hope that we can work together next year. But again, we haven't got into details. We have had a lot of going on. But I'm sure that at the right time we will get to that and trying to make something work.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Good deal. Well, Danny, thank you for taking the time. Congratulations on the new ride. And Justin, we really appreciate you taking your time as well. But again, we'll have audio, video available of this availability up on NASCARmedia.com. And we look forward to seeing you soon. Good luck at the Roval this weekend, Danny. Take care now.
Appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. I appreciate it, your time.